Hey everybody, how is it going? It's August 30th. This is Wednesday. That's when RambleCast happen. And this is in fact a RambleCast. And I'm Cody Toombs. With me is a Corbin Davenport.
Hello.
So it's been one of those wild weeks where there's lots of little things happening. I don't think anything particularly big or exciting per se, but yeah, we have been having a lot of events, um, or tiny events, tiny things happening. Um, I guess sort of starting that off, or not starting it off, but probably the one that's kind of kicking some of these things off. Apple. Apple has decided to pop up and give us a date because everything needs to be pre-announced, and we now know when the next Apple event is happening. And this is the iPhone event, of course. It's September 12th.
Yeah, the announcements of announcements. I did feel kind of silly writing the article about this because I was like, all right, how do I describe this? Like, they have announced the time when we think the iPhone 15 will be announced. Like, there's like a 99% chance, but I can't say that for certainty. And then there's like a maybe 40% chance of like Apple Watches and maybe something else in there. It's not like a lot to I have to go on there. It made me feel kind of silly writing it, but I did write it.
Yeah, I have, believe me, I've written more than my fair share of, hey, here's news that literally has no content. It's awesome. Um, but yeah, at this stage, obviously we can make guesses about what's coming. I think, I think we all know pretty much, like beyond the fact that this is very obviously an iPhone announcement. Even Apple is not hiding this, or I don't think they are. Now that I think about it, I'm not sure that
If
they
not,
officially said it, but we
no.
know it is.
Yeah, it's like 99% chance, but no, it, if we're being like pedantic about it, they've not actually said what they will show there.
Yeah, mostly because Apple wants to keep that air of mystery in the offhand chance that one of these days they do a whole, oh, we're not actually announcing an iPhone, we're announcing an iPhone Pro, an iPhone C, and a something, something, something. But there's no actual iPhone. Yeah, yeah. They love to do the occasional switch up after a pattern has been going. I will say if they're ever going to do another switch up, could they somehow find a way to make the model, or the model number match the year? Just saying, like at this stage everyone else has figured this out. They could too. But yeah, so we all kind of know this is going to be the Type C iPhone, which means Corbin can finally get a real iPhone.
It's true. I will. This will not be a good day for my bank account, most likely. Um, I think again, based on you know, if the rumors are true and there's no weird surprises, like Apple is somehow doing like a Lightning port iPhone here while Europe gets a Type C, that would be incredible and would make me very sad. If it is USB C and it looks fine, I'll probably get the regular iPhone 15. I would kind of like the Pro because I've like never really had a smartphone with high end cameras, like partially because I would always pick the smaller phones, and those are the ones that do not have the better cameras. But then before that, I was using like budget stuff or like random OnePlus phones that never had like really great cameras in the first place. So that would have been nice to change, but all the rumors are like this is gonna be like they're gonna raise the prices of the Pro phones already by like maybe $200 or something like crazy like that. So I can't really afford that. Well, I can't afford that. That's a bad financial decision. So probably won't be going that far this time. So probably just normal iPhone. if it's USB-C. And then Mark Gurman published a post on, I think it was yesterday, where he said that Apple is planning to show off USB-C AirPods also at that event. So if that's true, I might get those too, because I don't have any working earbuds at the moment. Because I've now determined at the age of well, I'm not going to say how old I am, but I've now determined at a non-descriptive age that I just can't do in-ear earbuds. It's just not going to happen. It doesn't matter who makes them. Maybe if I spent more time and money on like the super custom, ear tips, whatever, that are like 3D printed specifically for my ear canal, maybe I don't care. So my options are now just the like hard plastic, earbuds. Like I have just normal wired Apple earbuds. Like they work perfectly fine. So if the AirPods keep the current like shape and everything, and they're just USB-C, great. I might buy those.
So, pro tip: when you start stammering about age, just say early 20s.
Sure.
Anyway,
it's not a pride thing. It's just very easy to get doxxed if you know
something.
Oh
yeah, no, so, that's my point. But yeah, you
I've
can
been
still
trying my hardest to wipe that from the internet. In the days of my youth, I was not very careful with that information. So.
Oh, see, I've actually discovered that some of the things that I've done in the past regarding that are actually working. I got a Google search alert on my name just like a week or so ago, and it pointed me to a site that, of course, was sharing my address and various other things. But funny enough, it had the wrong birth date on it, because for years I have been filling in on any site where it doesn't matter for some reason. I always fill in something that is like either plus or minus a year, or plus or minus a day, or plus or minus a month. It's never too far off. Like it's close-ish, but it's always wrong. And yeah, I saw that and it's like, yay. Yeah. I could almost guess. I haven't been keeping track of it, but I feel like I could almost guess which site leaked my information for this site to be stealing it.
That'd be a fun thing to do, is like make an Excel sheet of like all of your birthdays and keep track of it, like people do with like junk emails.
That's an old tactic with your email. Just put in the your real email address plus whatever, and the plus whatever is always like the site that you're actually using this with. Yeah, you can usually kind of figure out, oh, you're the one who sold my information to the bad spammer. Though I think a lot of spammers finally figured that out and started stripping out the plus stuff, but whatever. Yeah, so anyway,
what I was talking about.
You were talking about AirPods. And yeah, I get that logic. I don't have as much of a problem with them as you do, though. No matter what, earbuds always feel uncomfortable to me eventually. There's some that are definitely better than others, like a lot better or a lot worse. But yeah, for the most part, most earbuds feel pretty uncomfortable to me after like an hour of wearing. They might still stay in pretty well, but yeah, it usually doesn't take super long.
Yeah, so you're kind of on like the opposite end. But
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like I've got them like, these right here, these bad boys. Use them all the time. It's great.
So, yeah, I imagine that they'll probably bring out the earbuds at the same time, because it also makes a lot of sense to do that. Like, if in Apple's case, the last thing you want to do is launch your phone and then be sitting there with AirPods that require the old connector. And like the whole big push is going to be, hey, if you're upgrading the phone because we now have to use this new connector, we don't want you to be left trying to use the old connector just for your earbuds. Now everything should be USB-C. And I'm sure they'll even make the mention of like, in fact, they might even make this as a pitch that they did this on their own, as kind of a look, we're already using USB-C in the Mac. Everything in our lineup should just be USB-C. And they might even make a hint like, look forward to our Magic Trackpad, keyboard, and mouse to be USB-C in the near future. Because we know those are coming too.
Yeah, I mean, even if they updated the AirPods, they still have the AirPod Pros to contend with, which I don't know if the normal. I know the AirPod Pros have wireless charging on. I believe that's standard now. So they could, that is like a thing that would be common across the generations. Is just being able to chuck it on a wireless charging pad.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it works with the MagSafe charger too. I'm not sure, but
I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah. And I have a feeling that those are just going to be an out-of-band update. They'll switch those to USB-C soon enough too. Just they haven't yet, or rather, we don't have rumors suggesting they will. It's always possible that they'll show up and be like, "Yep, we've updated both of these." AirPods and AirPods Pro, both.
I did forget to mention, like, Mark just said AirPods, so don't know what that means exactly.
Yeah, that could be a generic, like, we are including both.
Yeah. Again, that's always so funny, like Apple Rumor Mill, where Mac Rumors has to shit out a post about like this one thing in his article, and they're like decoding him like it's like you're trying to bring down, like, I don't know, like God has spoken to the people, and you have to interpret what he said to the masses. And it's like, did he say 2 AirPods? We don't know. We got got to go back on the mountain and find it. I like that Diablo said if they do the Apple Mouse with the C port V on the bottom.
Oh, I honestly, a part of me kind of hopes so.
Yeah.
Just because it's so stupid, it would be phenomenal.
Or it's not it's micro USB.
Oh God, no. Which, funny enough, just in the last week, I opened up a box and pulled something out that actually has mini USB. Oh. Not micro, mini.
Gross.
I don't have words for how frustrated, angry, and annoyed I was to see that.
I'm trying to think. I don't even know what I'm sure I have something that's... Oh, you know what? I think my Blu-ray drive is mini USB. That's one thing I can think of. Because it's like 12 years old. Like it's so old, it also does the thing where like the cable breaks out into 2 USB ports, because this was back in the days when USB couldn't really deliver any power.
Oh, that is so disappointing.
Which I have. Oh yeah, so yeah. This bad boy, this Blu-ray read writer drive. This is ancient. It's got the 2 little plugs here. Oh yeah, I've got an adapter on the yeah. Good times.
Criminal. Actually criminal.
Great drive though. It's lasted a very long time.
Now I'm trying to remember, what the hell was it that what was in that box?
I definitely have more. Oh wait. I guess my microphone is mini USB. I was thinking it was USB B.
Yeah, you've got the Yeti. Or you've got the, I guess, original Yeti. The Yeti X moved to micro, which was nice, but USB-C was already a fairly common thing when that came out. So I even hammered it on my review, like, guys, why'd you go to micro when you could have just gone to USB-C? Like, that should have been an obvious one.
Yeah. So yeah, on September 12th, I will probably buy iPhone 15 if there are no weird surprises. Recuperate some of that money by selling my SE and probably my Galaxy S21 too, because probably am not going to go back to that, partially because the battery is not what it used to be. So might as well just sell it while it's still worth something. I can toss in all the cases I have to bump up that swap of price.
Yeah, that makes sense. I gotta say, obviously, if you can watch for possible trade-ins, I doubt you're gonna get anything good, but you never know. There are offhand.
Apple doesn't do anything.
Apple doesn't. Sometimes the carriers do.
Yeah, I'm not switching. I'm on Cricket,
That's
so
true.
they're not gonna do anything, and
they don't subsidize.
Yeah. It's fine. This is my penance for being on a carrier that gives me a lower monthly bill.
Yeah. Oh, I just remembered what it was that was the mini USB. Yeah, when it came out, it was not nearly old enough to still be on mini, but it should have been on micro. So it was an older thing, though. It wasn't something that just newly came to me.
Diablo said Apple used market. Apparently, lots of people
bought an iPhone 8. Oh, yeah, they definitely did. Because that was the year where it was the 8 and the X both came out at the same time. And, yeah, a ton of people bought an 8. And they kind of bought it because they didn't want all the changes that were made with the X. Yeah. Because a lot of iPhone users are averse to change. So, yeah, a lot of people bought the 8 and hung on to that pretty much as long as they could.
Yeah, and it was also cheaper. And
yeah, a lot cheaper.
First gen Face ID wasn't all that good from what I remember.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stuff about the X was decidedly not
That is
great.
one thing I will miss from this SE is that Touch ID is pretty great. Like, I just, takes me back to the great old days when Android phones had physical fingerprint sensors, and I could just, don't even have to look. I can just feel where the sensor is and put my finger there, and the phone's unlocked. It's great.
Yeah. No, believe me, I used to love reaching into my pocket, and as I'm pulling my phone out, like, my finger just naturally found its way into the gap on the back of the case, lands right on the fingerprint sensor, and it was unlocked not even just by the time it was to my face. It was unlocked as it was, like, halfway out of the pocket.
As soon as it's out of the pocket, phone's unlocked.
Yes. Like, no, that was a better life. That was the way to live.
We've really declined as a country. That was peak living.
I would say it was peak humanity.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, the used market stuff, like, that's also why it didn't feel quite as scary to, like, start trying Apple stuff like last year and this year, because, like, if it didn't work out, okay, I resell it and I lose 20%, something pretty low. So yeah, again, like, I don't know what I would get for the SE, but I'm sure it'll be.
It was an SE2, right?
SE3.
Oh, 3? Okay.
Yeah, and I got I did get the second model up with the more storage. I forget. Let's see what this is. So
probably 32.
iPhone storage, 128 gigs.
Oh, okay. Maybe 32 is base. I don't know. I stopped keeping track. Yeah. But yeah, the SE3, I imagine you won't get a ton out of it, but hey, I'm sure it didn't cost you very much either. So.
And Yeah, Austin said, I'm disappointed Corbin has decided to become a cool kid. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Well, hey, if I can ever find the money for it, um, which will likely only happen if I start doing the YouTube channel thing with the actual produced videos, I will definitely be getting an iPhone to supplement some of what I'll be doing videos on. That said, no money for that now. So, no worries. I won't be joining the cool kids crowd for a while.
Actually, these swap-up prices are pretty dang good for the one I have.
Good for selling or good for buying?
Selling. They're like getting close to $400 for what I have.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I forget what I paid for this originally. I want to say I think it was like close to 500 new, like after taxes and everything. What is
Oh,
Apple?
yeah, after taxes. I forget you guys have to pay the silly tax.
Okay, yeah, this is so the one I bought from Apple's website is 479. So after taxes, yeah, it's gonna be like 500. So okay, I'll lose like $100, maybe not even that. Like after I toss in like my two cases and stuff, we'll see. I'm sure this will go down once the new iPhones come out. So,
Uh,
Austin got a double wrist the Apple Watch and Pixel Watch. No, not quite that crazy. Unless you're
uh,
talking to Cody, maybe Cody's that crazy.
I have actually worn two watches briefly. Very, very briefly, like just a couple of nights. But that was because I was literally reviewing two watches. So, first off, Austin, the sellout cast. Bring it, bring it. Throw all the insults. You know I'm not switching sides. You know I still know the Pixel has the better camera. No matter what Corbin does, he'll always still be second class camera. Hashtag second class camera. We're starting it right now. Everyone needs to tweet that during the Apple event. Anyway, actually tweet. We can do better than tweet. But anyway,
Don't use Twitter.
yeah. Go use Threads. Mark needs the help. No, anyway. Please God, don't use Threads either.
So, yeah,
As a quick acknowledgement, also the Apple Watch is expected to be announced, or a new Apple Watch. So USB-C for the charger on that too, I assume.
I think the charger. I think
Is
the
it fixed
charger's
cable?
already. I think it's already USB-C. I think
Yeah, okay.
because it's like a little like charging puck thing on the watch side, and then the other side is
Right, but I
yeah
mean, is it a fixed cable or?
yeah.
Oh, is it?
I've got mine here.
I genuinely detest any watch charger that's a fixed cable.
Yeah, it's stupid. Here's mine. This is a little charging,
Yeah, that's fixed.
and then
Oh,
on the
that's so
other end
dumb.
is USB-C. So
I am angry at this.
yeah, that's again another thing I wish I wish part of the conversation around like chargers with phones would include watches. Like I know they get like a little bit more of a free pass because it's hard to like shove a whole USB connector on a watch, but could do better than what we're doing. I'm pretty sure. I don't think like every single Wear OS watch in existence needs like a different charger. Like
Right.
the only reason they're standardized because Fossil makes half of them.
Yeah,
So
and
all the Fossil
Fossil's
ones
charger
are
is also shitty.
yeah,
It's so
pretty
bad. It drives me nuts that I can just slightly rotate the watch just a little bit and it loses connection. Like that shouldn't happen. But yeah. Actually, half the time I don't even rotate it. I just like lightly bump the table it's on. Disconnection instant, guaranteed. Anyway, let's see. So, what else? Oh, yeah. So, also recently announced because, of course, on the tail of Apple announcing their thing, Google had to announce its thing. So we have an official date for the Pixel 8 launch event, and that's October 4th. About 2 weeks later. Just about 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's usually is it usually early October?
September 12th. Oh, sorry, it'll be 3 weeks later. My bad. I did bad math. I honestly just forgot when the Apple's event was. So, yeah, Google has a history of doing October. Not consistent, not reliable, but usually it's very commonly like first week of October, give or take a week. So I think they once or twice might have done late September, but bear in mind they used to do later. Like Google historically has been moving up in time as opposed to whatever. Because I remember buying stuff in like November in the past. So yeah, a October 4th date definitely isn't out of the ordinary though. And to my knowledge, the only thing that I think we adamantly expect is Pixel 8 and Pixel Buds, I believe. Is that right? I'm skimming this article real quick to see if they mention anything else, but
Verge is saying Pixel 8 and Pixel Watch. And
oh yeah, sorry, the Watch.
Buds are a maybe.
Okay. And they acknowledge that the Fold and the tablet just started shipping. And come on, did anyone think the Fold or tablet were going to get a refresh? No chance.
They're gonna make the Pixel tablet even worse. They're like, that's it. We heard you guys bitching. It's now the speaker dock is now more expensive.
Time to take out a loan on your house.
Yeah.
No, I'm still angry at how stupid the tablet launch is, but whatever, that's on them. I'd love to see sales numbers on that. I genuinely cannot imagine they're good. But hey, whatever.
I mean, I feel as someone who's now like certified Apple shill, I feel like I can do the not told you so, but that kind of arrogant attitude from my iPad island over here, where like once again Google is definitely putting more effort this time around into like actually trying a tablet, like actually updating their apps to have a tablet layout. Again, most of the apps had tablet layouts like 5 years ago or whatever. But it's still like not super great. And I'm just over here and I'm like, all right, that's it. I'm done caring. I'm done with the like maybe the Play Store will look fine on a tablet next year thing. I'm like, all right, that's it. I don't care that my tablet has a bad web browser. It's fine. I don't have to care about that anymore.
Yeah. No, that's pretty fair.
Done waiting.
See, I haven't bought a Pixel tablet, or sorry, an Android tablet since the Nexus 9. So, I mean, yeah, I believe me, I'm not on the side of Android tablets particularly. I would like to have one, just a current one for testing purposes, and as it turns out, I have a review unit coming where I should probably have an Android tablet to test it, but not going to happen. That said, yeah, I still tell everyone, don't get an Android tablet, go get an iPad. Like, I can't think of reasons why anyone should go get an Android tablet yet. There's some DIY elements where an Android tablet would be better, but that's about it.
I mean, I can think of a lot of reasons why you would pick an Android tablet over an iPad, but they're all like pretty. They're not niche, but they're like very specific in what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you the kind of person who's like buying a tablet for like airplanes and you just want to put like a shitload of like movies and shows on it? Probably Android tablet, because all those have like micro USB, not micro SD slots. So like,
Yeah.
load it up. Got that expandable storage. Maybe like you have an Android phone and you already bought all your like games and in-app purchases and stuff on your phone. Sure, maybe that makes sense. A lot of like stuff like that like definitely added up for me for a long time. Of like, yeah, I'm gonna keep buying Android tablets, but
Yeah, I'll certainly grant you that. There are some narrow use cases where if you need a particular thing to be more flexible or more accessible, there can be scenarios for Android tablets to win out. But they are pretty limited, especially when you come back with, okay, are you going to use apps? Like, do you want apps beyond just video players? Okay, you already know which tablet you need to get. Like, that trumps all the other things that make Android tablets maybe better in certain situations. You can usually work around that with an iPad. You can't work around lack of good apps with Android.
Yeah, and at a certain point also with the Android tablets, it also starts to run up against like a Surface tablet. Like, if you want something that's like more it has actual web browser on it, or you want like actual like games that aren't mobile games, like, okay, there you go. There's your you spend another $100-$200, get a Surface. Or do they still make they still make Chrome OS tablets. Like, that's kind of another thing in this category of like kind of an Android tablet, but also like actual web browser. And Linux. Kind of. Sort of Linux. You get Linux, but worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Austin said free Pixel tablet with Pixel 8 Pro. That would be quite the bonus, because that tablet is expensive.
Yeah. Well, okay, let me throw a bit of a weird curveball on this. What if they shipped the tablet without the dock as a perk for the 8 Pro? Because that dock is so egregiously overpriced. If you take that out of the equation, the tablet starts to kind of become like it's still on the high end. It feels like that's still a little too high. But
well, we know the margins on the tablet are like probably okay, because they're just using the Tensor chip like they already have like in bulk somewhere. So, like, with the margins being okay on that, I don't know how much money they're making on the Pro Pixel. Maybe, I don't know. I guess the better question is like, has Samsung ever done something like that? Because that could kind of be the model here. Although Samsung could do it a lot more easily, because again, most of the components in their products are in house. Like, they're using their own screens and storage and everything else.
And Samsung also makes just a couple scales more units than Google does of anything. So you got to figure that just economy of scale, they can take an entire product line, as long as the margin is high enough. They can take an entire product line and just casually say, you know what? Now we're giving this away, or effectively giving this away if you buy something else. So yeah, it's not really out of the question for Samsung to do it. For Google, it's a little harder. I will throw as a bit of a counterpoint, they could do another one of those buy as a combo sort of things. Get an 8 Pro and get a Pixel tablet for, I don't know, like $300 off the pair. That's a good launch price combo deal. The only catch is and I've said this before, Google has got to stop releasing things in different cycles and then saying, oh, but here's a deal if you want to buy this other thing that's been out for 6 months or whatever. You can now get this at a discount with this other thing. It's like, no, No, the people who wanted it bought it when it came out. If you come out with a Pixel Watch and alongside the Pixel 8 Pro, or well, Pixel 8 in general, go ahead, do a discount on those two together. That's a great idea. You come out with these things like a couple months apart, no one's gonna do that deal, or hardly anyone.
Yeah, Diablo said, I really hope Google doesn't do the tablet as a one and done deal. Please just keep trying to fix tablets. Yeah, I mean, I would hope so. Again, because they're using the Pixel chips, I would assume at a minimum they could do a spec bump every year. It just gets either whatever's in the phone that year or the previous gen. I don't know which is in the Pixel tablet. If it's the Tensor 1 or 2.
I'm going to throw a bit of a curveball, and I know Google will never do this, so I'm just saying this to hear myself speak at this point. But Google should come right out and say, we are unequivocally going to support, by way of releasing a new Pixel tablet every year for the next, let's say, 6 years. Come straight out and say, minimum. We may keep doing it after that, but guaranteed for the next 6 years, we're going to have a new Pixel tablet every year. Barring special circumstances like, oh my god, the plant where we were manufacturing this stuff got destroyed by a meteor.
COVID 2.
Yes, COVID 2.
Taiwan gets blown up, one of those.
Yeah. So they got to make commitments. Like,
now, Cody, let me one up you there. That would be cool, but it would also be cool if, in addition to that, Google said, and the design will be the same for at least 2-3 years. Let's just say something like that.
Well,
because it's a tablet. Like, you don't need to change really anything here.
Just to narrow what you said down, because I agree exactly with what you're saying, but I'm going to slightly augment it, that the design will fit the same case and accessories for that
dimensions
time.
Are the same.
Yes.
Right? They can fuck around with the screen size or something.
A
little bit.
Yeah. I think that one's even risky, because you might have stuff that's designed to kind of fit, like cases that fit the bezel or something. But button placement would be the same. Port placement is the same. Microphone and other cutouts are identical. Everything needs to match, and that way it could use the same docks. It will be the same thickness. They need to commit to that stuff, so accessory ecosystem can actually thrive. Which, by the way, do the same thing on the phone. Commit to the same thing on the phone. And I ranted about this just a few weeks ago, and I hold to it.
Keep bringing this up. I have this in my list of editorials I'll eventually write when I have free time again. But yeah, like, it's like, we don't need to keep changing this stuff. Like, especially with phones, because usually it's just like, oh, we move the cameras to the other side again. All the cases are going straight to the landfill now.
Yep. Yeah. The EU made that whole thing about, we're going to require USB-C and basically FU Apple. Like, their whole argument was e-waste. Well, how about setting a law basically saying, you know what? No, if you release smartphones or certain types of gadgets, they need to match at least 2 years. Just come out with that. Unless you have a truly good hardware reason for this, they got to match at least 2 years. That would reduce waste so much. There would be so many cases that don't get tossed out of warehouses just because the new phone comes out and the company's like, well, we're only going to sell like 15 cases from here on out, so let's bring in the new model.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely getting into just like how capitalism operates, where like, these companies just want to sell almost the same thing every year for forever. So they need to be like, okay, what can we change? All right, if we move the cameras a little bit, it'll look fresh. So that's what we're gonna do, and then we get piles of plastic cases in landfills for 400 years. But
You know,
um,
I just had the weirdest thought hit my head, but it kind
taking
of
down
works.
capitalism.
I mean, I we could be optimistic if we want, but
Okay.
let's go slightly less crazy. Um, I'm drawing a blank on the name of the guy, but there was that crackpot Republican who was going around getting other Republicans to sign some like commitment that they weren't going to raise taxes. If I could remember this guy's name, if I even see part of it, I know it'll come right back to me because it's right on the tip of my tongue now. But somebody should do that with the tech industry. Like go around, do interviews, and like go up to I don't know anyone in Google. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Wow, why am I forgetting everyone's name right now? But the head of Pixel Hardware. Um, it doesn't matter. Anyway, go up to him. Go up to well, I would have said Johnny Ive in the past, but I don't know. Go up to Tim Cook and literally put in front of them a piece of paper saying, "I'm going to commit to like every other iPhone has to match the iPhone's dimensions before it." Which Apple should have an easy time with this. They already basically do that, or used to.
Yeah.
I don't think they do it right now, but yeah. Like put this out as a thing. Rick Osterloh, thank you. Um,
Yeah, I mean that would make me feel better if I was going to shop for a Pixel tablet or a Pixel phone. Be like, great, whatever cases I want to buy, they're gonna they're gonna be fine for past the lifetime of this phone.
yeah, I could upgrade the
And
phone and keep the
that's
same
yeah,
case, which, you know, for a company like, let's say, Nomad or, oh, who's the other one who does really good leather cases? Um, I'm just gonna say Nomad. Who cares what the other ones are? Um, look, if I get a phone that I'm only gonna, well, I use phones beyond a year, obviously, but if I'm going to get a phone, if I'm the type of person who upgrades my phone every other year, or sorry, every year, I don't necessarily want to go buy a case that I'm only going to use for the year and toss away. Like I don't want to spend an extra $50 on a leather case for that.
right.
But if I'm like, hey, you know what? I know I'm going to upgrade my phone, but there's this really great leather case that's available for this one. I'll buy it now, and it'll look great when I slap it onto the phone next year when I upgrade. Like it'll be worn in, it'll have that nice leather patina going on by then, which in my experience I do not seem to abuse my phone cases enough to have built that up. But yeah, like this is a thing we should be doing.
Yeah, I'm especially Google, because Google's already in this position where the accessory ecosystem is so weak because you sell a tiny fraction of the number of phones that Apple or Samsung does, or tablets, whatever. So like that would seem like a smart move to me. It would be especially it'd be really easy to do with this tablet because like you don't like there's nothing like that strikes me as like overly like a true design disaster here. This is just what all other tablets look like, more or less. Like if I squint my eyes, the back of this just looks like an iPad, like from you know back when they were more like rounded around the edges instead of like like the newer iPhones. But um, yeah, I mean like that'd be good. It'd make me feel better if I was gonna buy one of these, especially the dock, because like the dock doesn't even have like a frame for the tablet. It's just magnets and the connector. So like the tablet in theory could be a bunch of different sizes and it should still work up to a certain weight. So that seems like something that maybe they should have done. Um, I know there's a little bit of the I think it's the Osborne effect where like you say you're gonna replace this in a certain amount of time and it kills your sales of the current product, but like if they just say it's gonna be on a you know they could say like number of years instead of models or stuff like that. Like, because like people already know like, all right, I'm base expectations like 1 year upgrade cycle for you know tech products like this. So
Hmm.
yeah, a lot of things they could do that they're not doing, and instead they put out this fucking $500 tablet. Um, so good times over in Google Land. I'm also the one thing I'm like kind of interested, not because I probably buy it, but is whether there's any news on the like Pixel tag front, because none of those like Android tracking products are live yet. I'm interested to see if like Google wants to make their own, and if they did, like would there be? Presumably, it would work exactly the same as the third party ones, but maybe something could be different.
Yeah. So, uh, for one, I'm scheduled to review one of those, possibly two of them. Um, and I gotta say, like, I kind of thought that they were probably going to go live ahead of Google's event, but we're getting close enough now. I mean, we're 5 weeks away, ish. Um, at this stage, may as well wait, which sounds like a weird thing to say, but it just kind of makes sense. Which I guess I don't know. I think they should have launched already. It would have been smarter to launch ahead of the event and then maybe highlight something. But at this stage, I guess the logic would be, and I kind of pitched this once in the past. The Pixel 8 is already going to have, or rumored to have, a powered off support for Find My. So if that's the case, maybe they're going to highlight like, hey, we're now making the network live, and not only that, check this out, the phone can do it too.
Right.
it, it just sounds like they should have they just should have already pushed the network. Then there's also that whole rumor that they might have been waiting on Apple to do something, which I kind of don't buy into. It's possible, but I doubt it.
Um, yeah, I mean, I, I don't know. I feel like Google's gonna do something really stupid. Like they'll do a pixel tracker, but it's gonna be like $50 for no reason, or something like that.
Oh, if Google itself is doing one,
Yeah,
um, I mean, I kind of expect it to be more expensive, but
it's gonna be a speaker dock for the tracker.
uh,
Finally, my AirTags have speakers. This is exactly what I wanted.
oh yes, can't wait for that. Well, aren't the existing trackers that you can already buy are already not cheap. They typically are like 25 to $30, which isn't
Yeah,
terrible, but
AirTags is either 25 or 30, um, and some of the third party ones that use the same ecosystem, so like functionally basically the same, are like 20, 25.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, so yeah, I'll you know I will have to write about whatever Google announces. So I'm gonna be paying attention regardless. But
Yeah, that makes sense.
um,
So yeah, um, I mean, I'm looking forward to the event, but it's weird to feel like I've already seen or heard all of the most interesting things. The one thing I guess we haven't really heard a lot about is the camera yet, the Pixel 8 camera. And so I'm kind of waiting to hear something new and interesting there, but I have a nagging suspicion this is going to be probably one of the least interesting years for that.
oh, I just remembered, or not remembered, but thought of, is this event is going to be intolerable with mentions of AI.
I knew
Like
you were gonna say that.
I got flashback to fucking Google I/O, and it's like every other sentence.
Yeah.
Especially earlier this week, I think it was Monday. Google did all of their they had like a Google Cloud event, and they talked about all the updates coming to Google Workspace, like Docs and chat and stuff. And of course, there's like all AI stuff. Like I looked at the page where they had all like 10 of their blog posts, and like 8 out of the 10 were AI in the title.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I really that's just what you got to do to keep the number up at this point. I'm seeing it in a lot of the like embargoed announcements I'm writing for later this week and next week. It's like, all right, guys, I don't think you need AI for this, or maybe there's not. You're just saying there's AI. I don't know.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I was already aware of it. Like there's so many things that used to be they had other terms for it. A lot of times you see the word adaptive. Products that used to have adaptive in their like feature list, whatever's adaptive, like adaptive active noise cancellation. That's one that I've seen in a lot of earbuds. Funny enough, most of those earbuds now advertise that they have AI powered active noise cancellation, and it's like, really? So
AI is when I have an if else statement in my code.
something like that. But I mean, that's actually true. Like artificial intelligence can mean a lot of different things in software, and because like think of how we talk about AI when we're talking about a video game. Like the enemies have AI, or they're we talk about the AI of the enemies, and that stuff's not trained on watching people play. It's not like a actual functionally training learning mechanism. Somebody sat down and wrote a fucking strategy for it, and it follows said strategy. That's usually how AI actually works in a lot of these things. And that is AI. It is a form of artificial intelligence. It's just not trained artificial intelligence. It's not machine learning, which, strictly speaking, is the other overused term. Machine learning is really just AI, but it specifies that there was a training set. And so
I think what I'm going to do is go update Link Cleaner to say it's powered by AI, do nothing else, and then like try to see if I can get some like Silicon Valley investors to give me money.
You should, yes.
That might be my way out of tech journalism. It's just swindling all of these VC bros.
I can't think of anything wrong with that plan.
Yeah, I mean, is it really stealing if all this is made up anyway? I don't think so.
Is it really stealing if they give it to you willingly?
Yeah. Is it really stealing if it comes from people who live in California mansions? I don't think
Is it really stealing if they deserve it?
Yeah, they definitely deserve it.
Yeah, so
it's kind of like when who is the Theranos person? Elizabeth Holmes. Like one of the biggest investors she got was Henry Kissinger. So it's like I don't know how mad I can be at her. You swindled that man out of some of his savings. Like, you know what? Sure.
Yeah, that's pretty fair, actually.
Sure, some people probably still died from those tests that weren't actually tests, but I can't really be mad at the like defrauding investors part. My webcam decided to not focus anymore. Okay, there we go.
I was wondering about that, but I kept looking away.
Or C720 is getting confused in its old age.
So, to be fair, I do have a feeling, yes, absolutely, they're going to talk up AI as much as they can, but I think it's going to at least come more in the form of, unlike Google I/O. So much of Google I/O, their AI talk was, here's a thing we're gonna kind of do, maybe sort of. We think, we hope it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be awesome. Here's buzzword AI, buzzword AI buzzword. And how much of that was actual features? How much of it had results? How much of it can anyone ever actually use, including even other developers just using it as like services or APIs? Whereas with the Pixel 8 announcement, it's going to be, here's the thing, it's powered by AI. Look at what this amazing thing does. By the way, it's powered by AI, don't forget that. But it'll be actual features. So as annoying as it's going to be that they will talk about AI, at least it will have a tangible result, even if it's total BS. Okay, so
Yeah.
Corbin is speechless. I hope there's an AI Google Assistant improved.
Yes, Snappy powered by AI. Yes, that's how we bring it back.
Yes. Uh, yeah, I'm wondering what is going to happen with Google Assistant, because there was all that talk about how Assistant was kind of being, I'm not going to say defunded, but it's sort of defunded.
Defund the Google Assistant.
I know I hate using that term, but it's also actually kind of true. They supposedly took most of the people who were working on Assistant off of that project and stuck them on Bard and various other AI things. So I kind of
The
wonder.
left wing wants to defund Google Assistant. We won't let them.
Yes. But I kind of wonder, like, are they going to announce, like, kind of a, by the way, you all love Google Assistant. Well, now you're not talking to our old assistant anymore. You're going to start talking to Bard. First on Pixel devices. They haven't done one of those in a couple years, right? A starts on Pixel and then slowly rolls out to everybody else. I think that's,
I know they've done stuff like that with like Google Photos and stuff. I know with
yeah, but
Assistant
little
the
stuff.
main I know with Assistant the main thing was that a couple of years ago they started building Assistant to run like partially offline, and that was on Pixels first because that had
Yeah.
the like AI dedicated chip in it. So, uh, yeah. So Google stuff. Oh boy.
So yes. Anyway, moving on from our announcements, um, to another Google related thing, and Corbin actually was talking a lot about the browsers. Well, Google Chrome is testing a bottom address bar on the iPhone. Criminal, right?
Yeah. So, um, in the beta version of Chrome on iPhone right now, there is an option to have the address bar on the bottom of the screen. And this is mildly amusing because uh, for several years, Google was playing around with bottom address bar on Chrome for Android, and they tried a bunch of different versions of that UI. It was like a Chrome flag for like 3 or 4 years, I'm pretty sure. Um, and then they finally killed it without like ever fully rolling it out. And I think they did write like a blog post or something about it. They were basically like, yeah, we couldn't find like a design that like worked or something. I forget what the reasoning was, but that got removed. And ever since then, there's always been a contingent of people who are like, why doesn't Chrome for Android have a bottom address bar? Especially when you look at all the other like third-party browsers on Android, and pretty much all of them have it as an option at least. I know Firefox does. I think Edge does, but yeah. So now they're trying it on the Chrome for iPhone, and Android users still get nothing, which is very funny.
Oh, you and I both know we're used to it. Though I'm consistently curious how Chrome, the Chrome team had always kind of hyped up how much they get to share code across platforms and get a lot of advantages out. Like anything they write for one platform kind of makes it to another. And I know things are a little different with iOS because they obviously can't include the whole browser engine. But it seems like they'd at least be able to have a lot of experiments like this just naturally transition. So it's weird that iPhone gets it, Android doesn't.
Yeah, it's definitely like different design teams. Because also the Chrome Android browser on iPhone is pretty different.
Yeah.
Like all the settings look different or in different places. It's like technically the same app. Like when you go look at the Chromium source code, there's like all the iOS stuff in there, like all the iOS flags, but I don't think there's very much shared. And yeah, they can't share the engine. So
Though that may, in theory, there may be a slow but sure change coming with that. There has been a rumor for a while that the courts maybe, or the European courts might force Apple to allow side
yeah,
loading and a few other things. And so we may someday get access to this, but not coming soon enough. You got to figure Google's prepared the moment this happens. Like the day that judgment comes down, they're going to announce, "Hey, by the way, we got Chrome ready for you."
yeah. I mean, that was all that was reported like around the same time that it looked like the EU might do something. Like Mozilla and Google are all working on versions of their iPhone browser with their actual engine.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I don't know, maybe. Um,
It's long past time for it to happen. That's all I'm saying. So I don't know. Do you have any more on this that you wanted to mention?
nope.
Okay. Then the other thing that you also brought up is totally and completely unrelated to all of this, but the Fairphone 5. It's pretty repairable.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
this
don't
was
have this
all you.
tab open.
I don't know anything about
I
this
know.
one.
I gotta go open the tab. Yeah. So the Fairphone has been around for a couple years. It's all of them have been sort of like mid-range Android phones with a focus on both on like repairability and like sort of modular components, and also more ethical manufacturing. So like trying not to get like the cobalt mined by slaves in there, that sort of thing. And the Fairphone 5 was announced today, which looks really impressive. Um, this is still kind of a mid-range Android phone, like maybe upper mid-range, um, but it has a 6.5-inch OLED screen. It's the first one of these Fairphones that has OLED. That's cool. Has 50 megapixel main camera, 50 megapixel ultra wide, all that fun stuff. You know, charging up to 30 watts, and 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage. It's got a micro SD card slot. That's cool. I don't actually know if it has a headphone jack. I'll have to look and see, um, but kind of the main selling points here is
According to The Verge, there's no headphone jack.
oh, come on, guys. For shame. Anyway, so kind of the interesting thing about this phone is that they are using a chipset called the Qualcomm 6490, which I had never heard of before. But basically, this is like a enterprise version of like kind of like a Snapdragon 765, like that kind of chip. And they chose that because this is one of the chips that Qualcomm supports for longer. You know, we can't possibly do software updates for the mainstream chips for an extended period of time. That'd be silly. Those stupid consumers buy a new one every year anyway. Um, so they chose this kind of weird chip that's like mostly intended for like rugged phones and like Internet of Things stuff, because it's gonna get you know, binary blob updates for longer, and because of that, Fairphone says they're going to deliver 5 Android updates to this phone, and they're going to try to get security updates until 2031. Um, that's
Wow.
on the assumption that like Android will not radically change, in that time, that maybe there's some weird like thing that just doesn't make it work anymore.
Yeah, you
But
kind of have to throw in the mea culpas.
right, maybe that you know uh, fuchsia operating system will finally land and it won't work on any existing devices. You never know. And like it's I you know based on what they have here, like I'm fairly confident. Again, if there's like nothing weird changing with how Android fundamentally works, like they can probably do it. Like I mentioned in my article, they released the Fairphone 2 in 2015, and it just got its final software update in March. So that was 7 years right there. And back then, like it's a lot harder to get phones from that era to, you know, still be patched, because that was when most phones were getting like 2 years of major OS updates or one. Um, and now that the bar has been raised for most mainstream phones, like Samsung will give you four. I think it's 4 years. They're up to four. Um, Android updates, Google will give you four, I believe. Uh, Now the bar is raised and they can go a little bit higher there.
One of these days, I swear, I need to just create a cheat sheet that is how many years does each company promise of updates? Like it, I don't know what else, but there's like a dozen trivia facts that we bring up so often on these streams, and I swear I can never remember any of them off the top of my head.
It's
But
fine. No one wants these anyway.
there's that.
Um, so yeah, it's got potentially very long update life cycle. That's pretty cool. It's got a um, replaceable battery. It's got IP55, which is not as good as you'd get from mainstream phones, but that's because you can't crack those open and like replace the battery really easily. So that's your trade-off. And also like IP65 and that kind of stuff needs much more involved manufacturing as possible. They just don't have access to that. Um, and they also talked a lot about how many recycled materials are going into this. The back cover is like entirely post-consumer recycled plastic. Um, they have a lot of stuff on their website about like how they're sourcing the materials. Like they are going into like the manufacturing chain and the like mining operations, and trying to work on uh, less terrible options for all of those. No blood diamonds, that kind of thing. Um, I'm not at all qualified to talk about this, especially because a lot of companies say, you know, we got this from ethical mine and this is 100% recycled, and then you find out recycled doesn't really mean recycled, or something like that. So I'll let more knowledgeable people go through that and figure out if Fairphone is bullshitting or not. But based on what I was perusing from their PDF, they seemed like they actually cared. Um, and this is a much more expensive phone than uh, what you would get from something like Samsung with the same specs. This costs roughly, I think it was like, where is it? Um, it's €699 or £619 in the UK, which is about $758. So that's like $200, $300 more than, you know, mid-range phone from Samsung that's going to have similar specs. But, you know, they're making something that doesn't really exist anywhere else. No one's really doing this to the extent that they are. And if you want to support a company that's actually trying and making these in much lower quantities and batches than, you know, Samsung would, that's what you got to pay up.
Hmm.
And again, also other issue here is that they are still not selling in the U.S. They don't do that, which really sucks.
Well, all things considered, the U.S. has pretty much raised its middle finger to ethical companies, so it's not the most surprising.
It's true. I only buy phones that were made with tears. Um, that's just a personal gripe. I'm sorry, I shouldn't joke about that. That's me.
No, because it is blatant sarcasm. I think actually that is justified. Though, to be fair, it is also true.
Yeah, and like Fairphone, like is, you know, definitely impressive with how they, you know, when you read their blog posts and kind of look at their site, like they sell replacement parts for all of these, like everything that like Samsung is just barely starting to do in 2023. They've been doing for, you know, 5 8 years, whatever. Where they like sell replacement parts on their website for their phones, like going back several generations, and they've got repair guides and all this other fun stuff. And then you go look at Apple, and it's like, okay, to replace the screen on our phone, you need to rent this giant pressing machine from us, and also call a number after you've installed the screen so we can activate the DRM. Like, very different tiers here. Um, so yeah, seems cool. Can can't buy it. They don't sell it here.
Well, you can import. This is,
You
I mean,
you
you don't
could
want to, but
no, because also like kind of the whole thing here is like easy access to replacement parts and like warranty and stuff, and that's all going to be harder if you import.
yeah. Though, with that said, I think it is kind of fair to acknowledge that if enough people were to import and highlight that they were importing it, Fairphone would be more likely to start targeting the US too.
Yeah, they did. They did partner with a company to sell the Fairphone 4 here. They partnered with someone who's like selling phones with a weird like privacy version of Android. So I don't know if they want to do that again or whatever. But
I would hope not.
yeah, I don't care for that. Just normal Android is preferable. Or, you know, normal Android unlockable bootloader. There we go. Best of both worlds. Because these phones are also, I think, like in all the like official Lineage OS builds and stuff. So this is also something you can buy and keep flashing ROMs onto for eternity.
So yeah. Anyway, um, yeah. So hopefully they start at least thinking about ways to do US targeting on their own. Do we have anything else on this?
Nope.
Okay. So which do you want to hit next? The Sony cameras or Visual Studio? Visual Studio is probably quick.
Yeah, we can do Visual Studio, and then I probably have to go.
Oh, you slacker.
Yeah.
After you talk me into doing the Sony cameras thing. And for people who aren't going to believe this, I'm just going to say it now. Corbin's actually the one that suggested that to me, not the other way around. But okay. He suggests camera talk, he teases me with camera talk, and then he's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to be here for it.
I am nothing if not a Cody troll.
I'm glad you didn't go with the other word. Anyway, so yeah, this one affects me more than it does seemingly anybody else. But Visual Studio for Mac is being retired in 1 year and 1 day. It will be August 31st of 2024. They're going to stop supporting Visual Studio for Mac. Strictly speaking, they're kind of already stopping real support. Like, they're going to keep doing basic bug fix security updates, but no new features or anything like that coming for the next year, which, not surprising. So again, this is going to be a pretty quick one. I know most developer people do not care about this, so I'll keep, or non-developers don't care about this, and most developers probably don't care.
Yeah. Most people. You should say most people.
Yeah, so I just felt like calling this out because it is kind of a bit of a weird choice. So on the Mac, there are two different Visual Studio things. There's Visual Studio for Mac, which is basically a very, very trimmed down version of Visual Studio. It lacks tons of features. It is definitely not on anything approaching feature parity with actual Visual Studio on Windows, but it's good for compiled code projects. The other product is VS Code. It started its life basically being targeted at web development. Since then, it has grown to be better at web development and kind of useful for a few other things. It is much better as like a scripting tool than it is compiled code. However, it can be used for compiled code, and there are now plugins that do that. From what I've read and what I understand, they are very early stage. They're not very stable or reliable, but I guess that's what Microsoft has to figure out in the next year, is how to make that work, or to make it work well enough to be a decent transition target. Diablo PWA for the win. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, this I personally think is kind of a dumb idea. They're getting rid of a thing that is actually good for working with Visual Studio projects. I actually currently use this every week for doing the movie post. It's a bit of a throw together project, and I've been planning to transition to. I was gonna keep a lot of code in .NET or in C#, but I was going to move all of the management of the data into a MongoDB database, which is part of why I'm learning MongoDB right now. But yeah, so this kind of screws with my plans, but I was also planning to be off of there within a couple of months anyway, so my need for this will decrease, but it wasn't going to go away. And I'm not thrilled about the possibility of having to move everything over to some other software for doing the builds. But yeah, I guess that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, it's kind of more evidence Microsoft just kind of pissed away all the money it spent on Xamarin.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, they didn't really. I mean, Mono is not going anywhere. Mono is still supported. It's still staying active on Mac. So I wouldn't say they totally ruined themselves with it, but .NET Core has kind of solved all of their needs and issues anyway. So why? Yeah, they probably did kind of blow their money.
Yeah, and it's another one of those times when, like, I mean, the comments on that blog post are pretty great. It's like mostly people saying like, yeah, that VS Code extension like isn't anywhere near good enough yet, guys. Can you? They're in for a world of hurt. But
yeah, I actually hadn't read the comments yet, but I've seen other comments in the past talking about the VS Code extension, like how to do. I've seen people posting blog posts like how to do C# coding in VS Code, and you see in the articles it's like, okay, so in order to get this working, you're gonna have to do this, this, and this. Avoid doing these things in code just because they basically don't work yet. And it's like, no, this is stuff that should have been working. Like, this was working in .NET 2. Why on earth would you not do basic things in your code? And yeah, that's evidently kind of how bad their support is still. And I don't know, maybe it's moved quickly since then, but... And to be fair, Visual Studio for Mac has always been bad. Like, it's been missing a lot of features, and I saw some rumor, somebody had made a comment where it was apparently based on some other piece of open source software that's not supported anymore. I don't really know what that's about, but if that's the case, like, that's not good either. I kind of get why they would abandon it, but at the same time, that doesn't really justify abandoning the whole thing. Just maybe putting a long, like, you know, give a longer term support of the basic stuff and basically say, look, no new features. We're kind of done with that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, it'd be ideal if they could get all of the use cases onto VS Code, because, like, VS Code is, like, built from it's designed from a different place where it's supposed to be, like, kind of just a Notepad++ kind of text editor thing that builds up to be an IDE as you need that. So, like, it's not coming from quite the same place, but, like, if all these workflows are ported over to VS Code, then that means it works in more places, because there's never been a Visual Studio on Linux as far as I know, but VS Code works very well on Linux. And it seems like more people are... I don't know what the exact stats would be. I would imagine more people are now familiar with VS Code than normal Visual Studio, because, like, VS Code's, like, super popular. That's, like, every time Stack Overflow does one of their surveys, it's like top 3 IDE or IDEs, whatever you want to, you know. Some people want to argue about that definition, but like, VS Code, it's, like, very popular, and it's even, you know, kind of sort of on the web now. Like, there's a web version of VS Code that plugs into, like, cloud stuff, and that's also kind of the version you get when you open like the editor in GitHub. Like, you can just sync down your repository just all in the browser. You can do stuff. I've done that a couple times when I just, like, really quickly need to, like, tweak something on a website. I can just, you know, press I think it's the period key when you have a GitHub repo open, and it'll switch you over to cloud, you know, in your browser, VS Code. And I can very quickly make the change and close the browser tab, and I'm done. So, you know, if they go through all the work of, like, porting all those workflows to VS Code, like, that could potentially unlock a lot of really great and convenient use cases. But it doesn't seem like they've done that quite yet.
Okay, so quick follow-up. I found it in the comments. MonoDevelop was the original version of this. Then it turned into Xamarin Studio, and then Visual Studio for Mac. So yeah, that kind of explains it. And yeah, that software was abandoned quite a while ago. So I get that, but to say it was abandoned years ago is also not entirely true. Like, obviously they did pick it up and start using it, so it wasn't abandoned. They're choosing to now abandon it. But yeah, I'm now skimming through the comments, and yeah, it is almost entirely people saying this is dumb. They're pretty much killing the thing that worked in favor of a thing that currently doesn't really work, but happens to be popular with another group.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, they'd say something in the post about, like, running a VM. It's like, yeah, IDEs and VMs, like, famously, that's works well. Never has any issues.
Yeah, wait a second. I will argue that one, because I've actually, granted, this is now 10 plus years ago, but I used to do that all the time, and it actually worked really well.
It's probably okay on Mac when you've if I, I'm assuming Visual Studio for Windows is ARM native because Microsoft now has an ARM box and they were like targeting that as development. So I would assume that's ARM native now.
I don't
So
think so.
like, okay,
It
well,
could be.
if
Like, I think
if
they have compilers and tools in there for doing that, but I don't think Visual Studio proper is ARM native.
well, whenever it is,
I'll check,
like
actually.
that in parallels, like I would imagine would be fine. But there's another stupid thing you have to deal with. But
Visual Studio on is... Oh, as of November 30th, 2022, they apparently do have Visual Studio on ARM-powered devices.
okay,
Okay. So, all right, good for them. That's pretty recent, but hey, it counts. So yeah, maybe one of these days I'll figure out my virtual machine situation and start running Windows in a VM.
yeah, maybe this is another potential market for code weavers to conquer. It's just like,
Yeah.
hello everyone, we have the solution as usual. Get fucked to Microsoft. We've got this.
That or I'll just see how the game porting toolkit works with a compiler. I wish I was kidding. Um Actually, the funny thing is that probably would work. Anyway, yeah, so I'm annoyed by this news, but I'll live with it, especially because yeah, I'm probably going to be kind of switching. Diablo did call out the Swift, bro. Which yeah, I do. And I'll tell you right now, dead serious, the biggest reason why I don't want to use Swift on this project. Well, I already do use Swift for this, but it's for one tool that works with data, but it's not the main tool for some of it. The reason being, I really want to write a service that will run on my NAS. That way I don't have to have it always running on the laptop. And I want it to kind of automatically be able to reach out and collect data on my behalf and just throw it into a database. Then I will have, I'll write whatever tool for probably in Swift or maybe in something else that I can use for managing that. But yeah, I want to write all this stuff or I want to write a lot of the service stuff in C# because that's a better place or a better thing to be running on my NAS. Swift, not really an option there. At least I don't think it is. And thank God Zach isn't here because I'm sure he'd tell me over and over again Kotlin is the one and only answer.
I have. I never used Visual Studio for Mac, and I only ever used it on Windows for like maybe 6 months, because at one point I was playing around with back in the Windows 10 UWP days. They had Microsoft had a framework I think was called I think it was like Web UWP or something. I don't know. It was like their way of writing Universal Windows Platform stuff with JavaScript and like kind of HTML, but not really. So I was playing around with that as like someone who like only had a good grasp on JavaScript. It's like, hey, can I make like Windows Store apps? That'd be kind of neat. And I was playing around with a few prototypes of like basic stuff. At one point, I was making a wrapper around the inbox web app, Google Inbox, that like changed a lot of the controls to like Windows stuff, and it was kind of fun. But I never ended up releasing that. So yeah, that's the only time I ever played around with it. I remember it being scary and having lots of menus I didn't understand. But yeah.
Yeah. I never messed with that. In fact, I was pretty far out of a lot of the Visual Studio environments at that particular time. But Yeah, I need to. I don't know. I might take a little bit of time and tinker with, more out of curiosity. I might tinker with the things that they're promoting in this blog post just to see how they work. Because I gotta say, it's kind of amusing. They specifically named the recently announced C Sharp Dev Kit, which fine, whatever. They mentioned the Unity extension for whatever dumbass reason, and they mentioned .NET MAUI. It was only a few months ago that I tried .NET MAUI in Visual Studio for Mac, and it was busted. It basically didn't work at all. And so there is some narrow chance that this might actually work, and MAUI would be kind of a great thing if it works, because that's actually a proper cross-platform thing. It's meant to run on both Mac and Windows, and I think Linux. So it'd be kind of nice if something actually does.
Got to use that Dart.
Oh no, okay, sorry. Oh, what in the hell? Okay, yeah, I guess it must run in Linux. It's very weird. The platforms you can test on are odd, but okay. Now I guess those make sense now that I'm looking at them. Actually, no, this doesn't make any sense at all. Okay, this is funny. Supported debug targets for .NET MAUI. If you're on Windows, you can test on Windows and Android. If you're on Linux, you can test on you can test on Android. Apparently, you can't test on Linux.
Nope, Linux isn't real.
Linux is fake. Heard it here first.
It's true.
Oh yeah, Diablo. Yeah, that's kind of true too. Maui is on fire. Anyway, so gonna stay away from going deeper on that. So are you actually bailing, or are you gonna stick around for a few minutes and talk Sony cameras?
Yeah, I gotta go.
You
Sadly.
slacker. All right. Well, do you have anything you want to say, pitch, do before you go?
I did write a new thing in my newsletter. Went live yesterday. I'll put a link in the show notes. It's at not show notes, comments at spacebar.news. It is all the tech I use. So all my current stack of devices and why I chose them and what they're good at and what they're not good at. And a bunch of the apps I like using. And yeah, this is a sequel to an article I wrote at Android Police in 2018, back when we did the post about the stuff we use.
Yeah, I wanted to do one of these for ages.
I know I wanted to do one again, but it was never fitting into whatever where I was working wanted to do. So I did it myself with blackjack and hookers. Neither of those are in the post, just to be clear, but I did do it myself.
There's one other thing not in this post, and I feel the need to say right now, I don't think this is actually you that wrote this, or at least that took these pictures, because there's no red bench.
That's true.
You failed.
It's very, very sad. The red bench, I believe, is at my mom's house.
Pretty sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Might have got sold or something when they were moving, but yeah, if there's I next time I visit, I'll have to go see if it's in a closet somewhere. Take the red bench with me.
I was just gonna say, how amusing would it be if you actually teleported or transported that red bench all the way back with you, so you can start using it for photos again.
Shove it in the back of my Kona. Move Daisy. We got to shove a whole fucking bench in here. That would not fit in my car. That's not going to happen.
Okay, counterpoint, what you could do is, well, jokingly, I'm going to say saw it in half, then it'll fit. Or you could probably dismantle it and then put it back together on the other side.
Also, she might be using the bench, so that's a possibility.
Yeah. Could happen.
Unfortunately. Austin said, I'm pretty sure Valnet is in current negotiations to buy the Red Bench. That's not true, Austin. I never worked for the bench. Okay, they only buy things I worked at.
Target acquisition in 3.
Yeah, they're
2.
gonna buy Target and they're gonna buy Office Depot. Those are the only places left. Oh no, and they're gonna buy PC Gamer. So watch out for those hot acquisitions.
Okay, I think we can all agree it really wouldn't be that big of a loss if they bought PC Gamer.
Oof, harsh.
Is it?
There's some nice people over there doing hard work, and then sometimes someone over there posts something silly and they get bullied. Diablo said you didn't do an article by sitting on the bench. That's working at the bench. That's true.
Yeah, valid.
You got me. Yeah.
Bench acquisition forthcoming.
Well, I'll have to text my mom, ask if she's had any offers. Maybe what I can get.
Soon it will be a Canadian bench.
Oh, those are the worst kind. Yep. So that's it. You can go read that and subscribe if you haven't. Pretty please. I did fill out the thing for it to be added to Google News. Google has not gotten back to me yet, so we'll see if that happens.
Well, certainly good luck with that. And somewhere in the near future, I will have to write one of these for myself, just because. Mm-hmm. I don't know where I'll put it, because I'm probably not going to put it on Substack.
You don't want to put it on mine, Cody? You don't want to make free content for me? You do free labor for everyone else.
I was going to say, I'm already doing free labor for Valnets, so...
Yeah, like, come on. What's the difference? Look, I won't even put auto-playing videos on your article, okay? How's that?
See, if I post it somewhere, I can put auto-playing videos on my article.
That's true. Live stream is the auto-playing video.
I was going to say, I'll put my YouTube videos as an auto-playing embed, but yeah, live stream would work too. Yeah.
Lo-fi Cody beats to work by
Diablo. That would be neat to see a Cody appearance at Corbin's. Okay, So I'm just going to tell you about a little known thing called Tech Tales.
Right.
It's true. Cody has made some appearances.
Cody has made many appearances.
Actually, we probably need to record a few more of those coming soon.
Yeah, I had not had the time or energy to do a lot of them the past couple months. There was one that just went live about Cyanogen mod earlier this week, and yeah, I've got another one that's like 15% done, so I have no clue. Definitely slowing down on those because a lot of other stupid things are happening. But TechTales
lots
is
of
not
stupid
going
things are
anywhere. Just to be clear, TechTales will continue until I die.
It's possible it will be the reason you die, but yes.
Yeah. I open Logic one time. I finally just kneel over and die.
That has been known to happen to people using Logic. It's been rumored many times.
Look, Logic's great. It might take me like 5 tries to export my project properly, but besides that, it's
no.
Like what the fuck is a bounce? What does that mean? Do I put this other one?
Okay, so first off,
I know what bounce is, but first I was like, what?
It's one of those. It's funny because that is one of those industry terms that I knew it going into Logic, but the first time I saw it, it's like, really? That's what they say? Like, that's actually the menu option? That's weird. Also, something about Apple, both with Final Cut and with Logic, their export stuff is always the most confusing to use. Every other software I've ever used for doing audio production or for video production, the export stuff is usually kind of the easy, obvious thing. Somehow it is so much worse with Final Cut and Logic. They make it weird.
I like Diablo's Tech Tales Are Lives. Yeah, it's gonna go on for 50 years. Only old people enjoy it at the end.
I
guess by then I'll be old, so it's by old people for old people. That can be the slogan.
Oh, please don't. Let's see. Hey, by then I'll probably be in the ground, so that's okay.
No, I'm gonna
you're gonna exhume
I'm gonna
me just
feed
so.
I wasn't going that far. I'm gonna train one of those AI voices based on all of the audio I now have, and no one will tell the difference.
Sadly, that's probably true.
Gonna outsource. Cody's gonna go from making no money from Tech Tales to still making no money from Tech Tales.
Yes. Well, hey, as long as it turns Tech Tales profitable, then at least something good will have come of it.
Yeah.
Oh wow, we're getting into weird little blue pill territory in the chat.
Yeah.
Awesome. I approve.
First name. Okay, I'm gonna go now.
All right, man. Well, take it easy. I will catch up with you sometime soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. So, let's see. I probably should have just switched to the other that view right from the start, but oh well. Okay, so it's funny because Corbin actually brought this to my attention. I had seen mentions of it, but hadn't actually read about it yet, so that's going to make this particular segment slightly more awkward because I'm going to kind of be reading as I talk about it. But yeah, Sony has announced 2 new cameras. I saw a few videos pop up in like YouTube notifications, so I knew this has happened. I just hadn't checked them out yet. One of which is the A7C2, which is going to be a $2,200 camera, which is, as far as I can tell, basically the A7 IV. And seeing as it's $2,200 as opposed to, I believe the A7 IV is, I want to say $2,400. Might have that wrong. And I suppose if I scroll down, I'll probably find what it actually is. Let's see. Yeah, okay. The A7 II borrows from one of the borrows the one from the A7 IV. I'm assuming that's the sensor. Yeah. So it's basically an A7 IV with, I believe, a smaller body and they say improved autofocus. What is the price on the A7 IV? Do they at least mention that in this article? That'd be great. They do not. Those shameful bastards. How dare they? Okay, well, looking it up the easy way. Sony A7 IV. Oh, okay. It's more expensive than I thought it was. So the A7 IV is $2,700. Making certainly the smaller, more compact version. All right, that's cheaper. That's $500 cheaper. Okay, yeah, I'll hand it to him. That's actually a pretty good price for it. And then they have an A7CR. For those that know the Sony product line, the R I actually have no idea what the R stands for, but it is symbolic of the photography first cameras, whereas the ones that don't have an extra letter, that's basically the hybrids. They are kind of meant to be video and photo equal. If they have an S, it's for video first, If they have an R, it's for photo first. Why this combination, I have no idea. You'd think P or V would have been ideal, but whatever. Anyway, so the A7C-R is going to cost $3,000, which is quite a bit down from the A7R4, which is, did it say? I think it said in the article 39. Is that correct? If I just search, there we go. Searching by $, it comes up with the answer. So yeah, this will be a full like $900 cheaper. So that's a pretty good savings, all things considered. And I'm sure it's making probably a few upgrades on the way. And that's going to be a 61 megapixel camera. It's weird because I don't know that there's really a ton to say on this, but I kind of appreciate and approve of the fact that they're doing a pretty good job of kind of a Sony PlayStation style of release. They come out with good cameras, really good cameras, and then a few years later, it's like, hey, we're going to come out with basically the same camera, but it's cheaper, smaller, and improved. Which that's kind of a good business model. I appreciate that. I like it. That said, I do remember, I don't remember what it was, but I remember watching reviews for the original A7C, and a lot of people basically came out saying, yes, it's an A7 III. They improved this handful of things, but here's like the 3 things wrong with this camera. I kind of wonder if the same thing's going to happen here with the A7C II. Because there were a few caveats, and I'd love to know what those are. Not that I'm going to be getting either of these. They're expensive. I don't have the money for this. But they do look really good. So I am curious. Anyway, skimming through this article, sadly I don't really see much more that is particularly interesting here. So yeah, I think that's actually kind of the end of this topic. I do note there's also a lens mentioned. Apparently they've added a new lens to the mix. But honestly, lenses are not particularly interesting topics until they at least have sample photos or at least a notable feature list, and I think this has neither. So I'm gonna stop with that topic right now. Let's see. So what do I have going on to talk about other than that? I'm gonna say this is probably the end unless anybody has any other topics that they want to throw into chat somewhere. But let's see. So currently, just for giggles, I will tell you what I'm actively reviewing. So let's see. I am reviewing and have been testing the JBL Tour Pro 2. It's some earbuds with a case that has a display, an actual touchscreen display, and it is really good. It's a great display. The earbuds sound pretty good. I need to go through like full audio testing on these to like really form the full opinion, but they're pretty impressive. That said, they are so much the polar opposite of the HP Poly Voyager 60 Plus earbuds. God, I hate that name. Those were very business focused. They were not very attractive. They weren't very stylish. The case was clunky, way too large, awkward, but it was incredibly feature rich. These are not much cheaper, and they are nowhere near as feature rich. In fact, weirdly, they're actually missing quite a few of the features that would have made them more competitive. But to be fair, the case is nicer and prettier and actually does more, kind of. It's missing one really cool feature, but whatever. Um, that said, there is one thing that stands out. I was actually really angry about this, but there's more to it. So these are actually missing one feature that I think everything over like $150 should just automatically have, which is multi-point. Except they actually have it. I connected these to my phone and my laptop earlier today, or paired to both. It connects to both simultaneously, and whichever one plays audio will take control of the audio stream and works with these. So it has multipoint, but not officially. And it's janky. It doesn't work quite right. So it's good that they don't advertise multipoint because it is kind of broken, but it also does work though. So I'm not really sure what to make of that yet. Let's see. I am also reviewing the DJI Osmo Action 4. It's an action camera. I don't know how much anybody here cares about that kind of thing. Actually, if anybody does, legitimate question. If anyone watching this cares about action cameras even a little bit, ping me in Discord. I kind of want to ask you some questions. Diablo, they probably do a feature update, possibly, or forgo. As far as the earbuds, I actually already wrote this section of the review. I'm wondering the same thing. I don't think that they're going to do a feature update because, like, by now they probably could have already done it, but maybe they will. I don't know yet. So, yeah, I really, I think they should do a feature update and actually just fix multipoint and officially add it to the feature set. But another part of me thinks that they won't. They'll just wait till like a second model and then do it. I have no idea yet. But honestly, I think they should just do it now, because if they update it now, like, it suddenly becomes really special news that the very cool thing with a screen on it gained a major feature. Like, that is good news. That's something you can actually get blogs to publish about a pair of earbuds. That's not normally a thing that earbuds would get a follow-up for. Anyway, awesome. Action cameras are so 2014. Harsh, bro. Harsh. Also a little true, but I would argue action cameras are making their comeback lately, because they're getting good enough to be vlogging cameras, which is kind of interesting. Anyway, so yeah, I'm working on the Osmo Action 4 review. I'm not very far into it, but what I really want to figure out is, aside from vlogging, I'm trying to come up with something that's kind of normal use cases that don't necessarily involve going full on downhill skiing or jumping out of a plane. You know, the expensive things that I can't afford and or can't do during this time of year. Let's see. Then I am still waiting for Moment to send out the T-Series lenses. Looking forward to doing that review. I have a new NAS that I'm testing out. This is a like super budget NAS from TerraMaster. I have only just started setting it up today, but honestly, it is very budget in the sense, like, it even feels budget. It doesn't have like the same kind of locking mechanisms on the drive bays and things like that. But other than that, I'm kind of digging it. Like, just it's a good little box that you can set up to run Plex. Like, that's what this is for. Literally, that's what they're marketing it as. They're not trying to pretend that this is for small businesses or something like that. No, this is for Plex and file storage. That's their whole intention here, which is perfect. And if I remember, actually, I need to look this up anyway. It's the F2 212. Oops. I hate this. That's so annoying when that happens. Okay, so Newegg is selling it for $170. Yeah, that's cheap for a NAS. That is really cheap for a NAS. So, I I would say very genuinely, I haven't set it up and actually started using it yet, but I have a sneaking suspicion this will be one of those things that I can just truly say, look, if you really just don't want to spend a lot of money on something, here's something that is effectively a desktop computer with relatively low power that can run Plex. Like for $170 plus buying hard drives, this is great. Like that's a solid option for Plex. But I will have more opinions on that later. I've also got my DJI Air 3 review coming soon. I'm just trying to get a few more flights in with it so I can get footage to use for the video. And I'm going to try to get a YouTube video out for that, but due to wildfire smoke and heat waves and everything else, like this summer's been making it difficult to actually get out and do any of these things. Let's see. I also will have Google's or the trackers. I'm already set up with Chipolo to review that one, and I'm trying to also review the other one whose name I keep forgetting. I'm sure somebody Austin will probably mention this one into chat in the next minute or two, but yeah, I'm trying to be on the list for both of them, but I should be at least signed up for Chipolo. Pebble Bee. It's your Diablo, thank you. You gave me enough of the name. It's Pebble Bee. So yeah, I'll be hopefully I'll be able to review that one too. There is something else I can't discuss currently, but it's similar to something that I'm already reviewing that I just mentioned, and they are announcing in the coming weeks. So yeah, and it actually just arrived today. Not again, can't say more. There was some. Oh yeah. Also, here's a new one. How many people here have ever used a Wacom tablet, or as I like to call it, a Wacom tablet? They're stylus drawing tablets that you can plug in. Wacom has now released some that work with Android. Android and Chrome OS. And I'm going to be reviewing one or two of these. So details are not super lined up yet, but yeah, I'm going to be checking that out. And since I have neither an Android tablet that is, maybe I don't know if a Nexus 9 will work with this, but I don't have a Chrome OS device, so I'm going to be testing this using a Pixel phone. That ought to be entertaining. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it is fun. Yeah, apparently it works with Chrome OS. That's what they're saying. Give me a sec. I'll pull up the product page. Because this is live now, so there's no oh my god, I can't talk about this sort of issue. The Wacom 1. I know it should be Wacom, but it's Wacom in my brain. But yeah, let's see, where do they mention it? So they have two versions, one with a screen, one without, and two sizes of each. So we'll just go into the lower cost one. Because these pages are almost identical for both of these. Yeah, additional features. Oh, I should have switched screens, but there we go. Additional features, quick and easy setup, plug and play, multiple OS compatibility, including Windows, Mac OS, Android, and Chrome OS. For real. And apparently connects on USB-C and Bluetooth, which is great because some of their previous tablets were one or the other and never both, which was super annoying. Plus, actually, I think this is their first USB-C tablets. Or maybe not first, but the others I think were a lot more expensive. Anyway, so yeah, I am going to be reviewing these, which I will very likely even make a point of doing on stream with a photo edits stream. Um, speaking speaking of photo edits, I don't know exactly what day, but I just shot I don't know how many photos, and I'm not even done. uh like almost everything I'm reviewing that I've mentioned that I have currently, I have either just shot or I'm about to shoot in the next day or two. So I have a ton of photos I've taken. None have been edited. So I am going to be doing some photo edit streams somewhere in the next week. Very likely. Week and a half. Um we'll see how the timing works out and everything. But yeah, so that's the plan. Um yeah. Anyway, so I don't know what else to add to that, but yeah, that's I think everything I'm reviewing. I'm keeping myself busy. So, yay. Um Anybody have any questions? I suppose now would be a good time to ask them. Um oh, uh Diablo asking, am I taking moonshots tonight? Uh what was special about the moon right now? I feel like I remember hearing something about it, but I don't know, or I don't remember what it was. So, quickly, I assume you'll tell me before I can successfully look it up. Wait a second. What the? I just noticed music had also stopped. Why was that? Somehow it paused. I wonder if I hit the pause button. Or, oh, I know what it was. I flipped open the lid to the earbuds. It connected to the laptop. And when I closed the lid, it paused the laptop playback. That makes sense. Oh, is it Super Blue Moon? How to watch tonight's Super Blue Moon. I will look into it. Okay. Well, actually, yeah, this article's not super long. Let's quickly see what it says. So, all right, there's the blah blah blah. Okay. Okay, tonight, August 30th, at shortly after 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, through the morning of September 1st, a rare super blue moon will rise in the skies, creating a spectacle that thrills photographers, amateur skywatchers, and even seasoned astronomers. The super blue moon label requires a little unpacking. For starters, there is nothing remotely blue about the way the moon will look tonight. Yeah, I was going to even mention that myself, because if I remember, isn't a blue moon just like specifically when you have a full moon twice in 1 month? I haven't read the article yet, but if I remember correctly, it's 2 full moons in 1 month. Let's see. So instead, the label, whose provenance is unsettled, refers to the second full moon in any single month. Yep. Okay. So I had that one right. The last one to fill the skies was August 1st. So tonight's full moon comes in just under the wire to qualify for blue distinction. Blue moons are not common. Only 3% of full moons are blue moons, according to NASA. So tonight's moon would be noteworthy no matter what. But then there's the supermoon label to consider too. The moon was born in violence about okay, blah blah blah. So instead, the moon's orbit is elliptical, With its closest approach to Earth, this is what I thought it was. Super is the largest it'll appear in our sky. Okay, that difference doesn't show itself much when a moon is a mere crescent, but when it's a full moon, things are different. A full moon at perigee appears 14% larger and 30% brighter than a full moon at a more distant remove. The phenomenon is especially striking when the moon is close to the horizon, where it benefits from an optical illusion. Comparing its size to smaller surface features like houses and trees makes the lunar disk look far larger still. For all the hoopla created by supermoons, they're actually quite common. About 25% of all moons are supermoons. Okay, wow, that kind of deflates the news a little. This week's is the third one of the year, with a fourth one on tap for September 29th. Jeez. Okay, they are common. Another 4 will appear from August through November next year, but a supermoon that's also a blue moon, that's a much rarer beast. Sometimes 20 years will elapse. Okay, so we kind of don't care about the rest. Let's see. So, am I going to go ahead and check this out? I don't know. Probably not, because we still have some pretty iffy air quality right now. According to my Nest Hub, it's 154 outside. Let's see. What is it according to the Government Air Now site? There we go. According to them, it is 167. This is actually a first. The Air Now site is actually higher than what Google says it is. Wait, how is this? That map doesn't match up. Okay, well, whatever. Anyway, yeah, it's not great air quality. It's pretty unpleasant. It's nowhere near as bad as the 400 and something that we had a couple of days ago, so I'm much happier with this. But yeah, it's still not great. I managed to make it out yesterday a little bit. We had a little bit of a break where it was dropping down to like 50 something, which, not bad. You can still smell a little bit of smoke, but it wasn't really significant. Plus, I went up into the mountains for a chunk of it, so the air was a lot clearer up there. We are supposed to get rain tomorrow, hopefully. Really, really hoping that's true, because if we do get rain tomorrow, that will clear a lot of the air. Hopefully, it just completely eliminates most of that smoke. If that's the case, then it will air and skies for flying the next couple of days, because I want to get out and get a 1 to 2, ideally a couple more flights in, but I definitely want to get a couple more flights in so I can finish the review video and possibly do more with the drone before I have to send it back. One of these days, I'd also love it if DJI would just accidentally send me one and not ask for it back, but it is what it is. Anyway, so, okay. For a second, it looked like there was a glitch in the stream. All right. Anyway, so I think that covers the main topics. As usual, I should be gaming this weekend. Some Fall Guys, maybe some Overwatch. Lately, I've kind of been playing Fall Guys, and then if there's a break in who's around, I tend to be switching over and doing a little bit of Overwatch. And who knows, I might start splitting up streams somehow to do a little bit of both as a regular thing. We'll see. Need to figure that one out. Anyway, so yeah, hope people can make it by for that. And yeah, think that is about it. I'm looking around trying to see if there's anything else that brings another thought to mind. But yeah, anyway, if anyone has not already and would like to support the channel, there are links down below to Cash App, Streamlabs, and Patreon. It really does help. And huge thanks to Diablo, Austin, David, and how am I suddenly forgetting? There's one more. Carson, thank you. Thank you to the 4 of you for being active Patreon subscribers. You guys are definitely helping out big time. And a huge thanks to anyone else who feels like doing the same, either as a one-time or subscription. Yeah, that about covers it. So thank you all for coming by, hanging out, being part of the stream, being part of that conversation, chatting with me and Corbin. Of course, thank you to Corbin, who will never hear this, but hey, good you made it by. And a thank you to those who come and find this stream and watch it later, probably looking for things they can use to cancel me in the future. But thank you all the same. My view count will go up because of you. No, anyway. So I hope you all have an excellent rest of your night and rest of the week for that matter. And to that, I say good night, everybody.